Going live and live. Fantastic. What's going on, people? Got to get my notes out here. You'd think that I would, just get to do this or start doing all this stuff beforehand, which I have, but not today. 23rd. All right, not that it matters. But what up, Jess? How are you? How are you? 8 people already. That's what's up. That's what's going on. How are you guys out there? I know I didn't really warn anybody that this was happening as of yet, but I've been busy. Been busy. Jess, how you doing? You are the one in the chat. We insta click. That's what's up. Yep, 2 goners already. It's all good. Whatever. All right, Jess, how you doing? I've asked that like 3 times now. And that's your God. Looks like it has to be bright to not. Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Hello, Outward Peak. What's going on? I'm all right. Think I've got my life figured out. Sarcasm? Or actually, though? Because if so, that's amazing. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. So, for those of you that are watching that aren't yet, I'm sure don't. What? Well, anyway, for those of you that are watching that haven't commented yet, I'm just going to start. I don't think I'm going to start doing topics of discussion because they all just turn into whatever anyway. So I'm just going to start doing these Philosophical Misfits live. And so this is number 1. I know I already did number 1 like a year ago or whatever. But no, it wasn't a year ago. Wow, it was only like 4 months ago or something like that. But that's what I'm going to start doing. So we'll see how it goes. I'm all right. I think I've got life figured out. Woke up to some really decent news about potential living situation for me. That's awesome. Just got off work, real sore. Sore, what do you do? Every Thursday now? Probably every Thursday. Yep. I'm gonna live for these live streams. Live for these live streams. Oh my God. That's awesome, Cody. Glad you're here. Hey, Shaler. What's up, man? He means news. Live and live. Whatever. Live for these live streams. I got it. I'm a little slow today. I've been procrastinating all day. I was supposed to film a new vlog. I'm starting a series on joy. And I was supposed to film that vlog today, and I had to do a bunch of stuff for work. There's like training outside of work for my new job. And so it was like schooling. So I did that for like 3 hours, and then I was brain dead. So I just procrastinated so long that I was like, nah, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do it. So it's bad because I work the next 3 days. And so a vlog, it's probably gonna be from now on since I picked up this new job, bartending, because I need the money. That it's gonna be like every other week, which sucks, but I got work soon, so I'll be here for a few minutes. I meant news. I spelled it wrong. Oh, okay, news. Yeah. I work out, train for boxing 4.5 hours a day. I did setup and takedown for light sound in a big ass event. That's crazy, man. So are you a boxer? Bartending is sexy. Don't sound so down. Hey, I'm not mad about it. I've been doing it 2 days and I really like it. Really enjoy it. So I'm stoked to keep it going. I'm not down about it. I'm just tired. I'm actually super stoked that I got this job. And you'll get free shot of Jameson every night to wind down if you want. This is true. Yes, sir. Boxing and the Bible, my two favorite things. There you go. Okay. All right. How much you study the Bible? Actually, you know what? A topic of discussion that we could talk about tonight is what do you when I say the word joy, what comes to mind? Don't feel and asking that to everybody watching, and we'll make that a conversation topic for the time being. Don't feel bad, Nate. I intended to get some home repair work done today, but was convinced by a buddy to go to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Hell yeah. I had done the same thing. IDK a decent amount, no scholar. I feel that. Yep. Children. That's a good answer. That's a great answer. My son, children, financial freedom. Joy is, I guess, more of a permanent thing, whereas happiness is more situational. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Outward peak. Why? What's that name? Like why that name? Does it have a significant meaning? I feel like it does, which is why I ask. It's hot in this room that I'm in. Joy, I guess, more of a permanent situation. Grandma's face every time you come to see her. That's true. It's very true. My grandma, that was my face every time I went to see my grandma. Grandma was precious. She was incredible. Weddings, yeah, weddings. That's that's joyful. Yeah, in some situations can be very very stressful. And obviously weddings are stressful, but I mean the relationship itself can be like there can be people for and against it, and obviously they feel that tension. So there's that. Old Xbox Live game tag, but yeah, there's a story. I used it for everything from WoW to COD and even my email World of War. I just said WoW because yeah, World of Warcraft. I love my grandma. And oddly, I've found joy in some really sad places or experiences. Yes, like an old man saying goodbye on his deathbed. It's bittersweet, but it's there. Absolutely, completely, 100% agree with that. I think that is like, I think like when you feel joy that produces tears. I know this sounds really weird, but I think the joy that produces tears is actually the truest form of joy. You can disagree, but I found most joy by the continual reassurance that everything is going to be okay and work itself out. I believe each event that transpires happiness for a reason, and so in believing that, I may have joy. I find joy in the most assurance that everything is going to be okay and work itself out. Okay, I believe each event that transpires. Huh. Eric, what's going on, man? Nadio. Glad you're here, Eric. Did you see that video I sent you where the Vox asked, "Why do we cry?" Yes, I saw it. I watched 10 minutes of it, and then I really wanted to keep watching it, but I think that was the day I had an interview for my job, new job. I equate joy to giving. Okay. Maybe just because it makes me think of jolly old Saint Nick. That's good. I do really think joy is cultivated in giving. At least for me, whenever I'm able to help somebody, it brings me joy. That's pretty awesome. Hmm. That makes me think. I like this. Joy in giving. And so obviously there's parts of joy because happiness is definitely subjective, but I'm thinking through that comment that joy itself can be subjective. But I think happiness is strictly subjective. Um, and obviously what makes somebody happy. But I think there is some objectivity to joy. Um, but yeah, I guess there is definitely subjectivity as well. This is good. This is good. You guys are stirring my thoughts, getting me prepared. I mean, I already have like a whole bunch of outlines for all these videos I want to do, this series that I'm doing on joy. But this is good stuff. I feel like we would war over the remote. Me and you, Jez? Pro- Probably. I think that is why Jesus said it is more blessed to give than to receive. Hmm. I mean that could, I mean a lot of those verses are subjective and open to interpretation. And so I think that that's if that's how you interpret it, I think that's a really beautiful thing. It's called Sanctuary. My new song dropping tomorrow. Dude, did you send me a song on Instagram? Somebody sent me a song and I didn't know who it was. I'm intrigued by the comment about just knowing things will be okay. I've discovered that not everything has that feeling inside them. Let's elaborate. Comment about just knowing things will be okay. Yeah, I mean, I've discovered that not everyone has that feeling inside them. Yeah, I mean, definitely not everybody has that feeling inside them that everything's going to be okay. Um, but I'm not sure if that produces joy as much as it produces a security. And maybe maybe that's a part of joy for people. That's another subjective part of it. I mean, my series is kind of the objectivity of joy. It's kind of like the series on love was kind of the objective standpoint of love. In my well, see this, it's an objective thing, but it's I don't know. I feel like it's really tried. It's a subjective thing, but I feel like it's tried and true, which is why I say objective. Um, CNA, maybe we should chat outside the stream. I gotta run. Sounds good, Caleb. See you next time. I guess a good way to say it without using big words, I equate my joy with peace of mind, the belief that everything will be okay. Well, is that joy or is that peace of mind? I mean, you're saying that you say it. I'm just asking more questions. It's not that I disagree with that statement. I'm just asking more questions. So, is that what joy actually is, or is that just peace of mind? Yes, me and you war. Thumb wars, of course, because I'm not violent. Yes, we would definitely war over the remote for sure. I agree, Cody. I want to bring up a thought experiment. I did some research on, okay, part one. All right. The first, where's the second part? They were physically unable to learn language because their brain has not matured properly. Meaning, if language is not taught, the brain will never develop the structures to learn it or be able to in the first place. So, are you telling me that how I'm curious of was it a year and they didn't catch on? Was it a couple years and they still didn't catch on? I mean, your brain obviously isn't done by the age of 10. Your brain is I think your brain is done growing by the age of 25. So I'm screwed. This is as smart as I'll ever be. um, anyway, but that's a really interesting. So what do you take from that? I'm dropping a song tonight. Well, be sure to send it to me, man. I did. LOL. My last song called "Focus." Sanctuary will be my third song. Working on an EP. Dope. Is your Instagram name different than Eric MD3? It's called Anxiety. Shit will rob you of joy. What's called anxiety? Peace of mind, first place. Yeah, I was definitely not equating it to joy, so maybe subject change, but I just don't know where this feeling came from. I can't remember not having it. Not having what? Not having you can't remember not having the feeling that everything's going to be okay and peace of mind. Outward peak. What? I agree, Cody. Yes. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I remember times where I feel like I've lost that feeling. I don't know, but it's in the times where I feel like I've lost that feeling that everything's going to be okay. That when I start talking through it, I remind myself, oh, everything is going to be okay. Like I think the older we get and the more that we go through life, the more we actually know. It's like everything's going to be okay because we've gone through the ups and downs and we've always come back up from someplace. It's just that when you're in the down for years, you're like, is there another up or is this it? Yerp. Kevlar, what's up, man? I just laced up my studio again. That's dope. Throwing down a new cut tomorrow. Bought a cheap PreSonus Artist. Cubase is my life, though. Cubase is not, but the updated version. I know I bought Logic. When did I buy Logic? Uh, Logic like 7, 8 years ago, and obviously I've been updating it. But Cubase in the last like 5 years has gained so much popularity because they like a lot of pop artists and hip hop artists are using it now. Because apparently Cubase and especially wow, what's the other doll? Ableton. Ableton is like picking up popularity too. But I've always been a Logic guy. I love Logic. The DAW, but Logic as philosophical standing as well. That's cool, Kevlar. Yes, it's Eric Daniel, I believe, and I made an account specifically for music called Mike Diamond. That's right, I remember this. I'll send them on the Mike Diamond one so you know that it's me if you want. Please do. Hey, what's going on, Godly? Yes, yes, yes. It's never gone. I can be in a bad place and try lying to myself, um, but I just can't shake that it will be okay. It won't be okay. I just can't shake that it will be okay. All right, but that makes sense. Trial and error. So things being okay, I luck. What? So things being okay, I guess. What are you saying, Jess? I heard a pastor say once, I don't remember who it was, but he said that if you work to make sure other people are taken care of, God will take care of you. That thought brings me peace of mind. I'm glad. I mean, that thought might give you peace of mind. That thought gives me anxiety, man. Personally, that thought gives me so much stress. Yeah. I mean, I'm down to like help other people out and give, but like I'm the person that like when I get into that mindset, when I get into that, I will drive myself to a point of death, and then I'm like wondering why I don't have any energy. It's because I have this savior complex that I've talked about before, um, and yeah, so that doesn't that doesn't help me. I've learned that I can help people out so much more when I take care of myself first. That's just me personally. Some people operate differently, which is fine. Um, yeah, it's just because I really worked with Cubase for 10 years. I know the ins and outs. I know you know what you can, so you know a software. Yeah, yeah. Sounds like the Holy Spirit. What is luck? So things being okay is luck. Um, we need to define what luck is, because luck could be, to a, I mean, I guess an atheist wouldn't believe in luck. But I guess an atheist could believe in coincidence, and coincidence might be said to be luck. But if you're talking about luck in terms of fate, and fate is more, um, has more of a relationship to a more theist mindset, um, a theist or agnostic mindset. So I guess defining what luck is would help me, I guess better be able to conclude an answer to that question. Are y'all familiar with Beautiful Eulogy? No, I am not. Yes, Outward. Gotta go. Gonna continue to work on the EP. Catch you next time. I am jealous, Eric. I was gonna go to my studio today and work. Yeah, didn't happen. Didn't happen. I once discussed putting together a satirical hip hop group with somebody, but we shelved the idea because we decided we'd rather have a rock band and make music that we'd actually tolerate. Hey, yeah. How'd the band go? Here's a question, kind of dark but polarizing. Okay. When we see people who are truly robbed of joy, do you think they reserve the right to believe that suicide is ever okay? Hmm. Here's a question, kind of dark but polarizing. When you see a person When you see people who are truly robbed of joy, do you think they reserve the right to believe that suicide is ever okay? No, I don't think that suicide is ever okay. But I also think that that person is blinded by their own pain, and they have not been taught or shown how to work through that pain. So I don't think anybody really reserves the right to be suicidal. But when your pain becomes so large and in your face, and it blinds you from an aspect of reality that could be joyful, then um, you feel like you could be in the right to commit suicide. It's fear. It's this. I mean, there's fear, but they're under a lie. And when I say lie, they legitimately believe that they are such a burden to the earth that they feel that the right thing to do would be to take themselves away, because they want to be less of a burden to people. And I know this because I was that way. I was very suicidal, high school and uh, you know, yeah. So, I mean, I talk about it on my channel. So, um, yeah, I don't think they reserve the right, and I don't think it's okay. I think that if we see people that are in that suicidal place, and we see that they are blind, and we see that they are believing that lie, that it'd be the right thing to do to take themselves or the burden that they feel that they are off of people. I think that it's our responsibility as decent human beings to help them lift off that blindfold and help them see that everything will be okay. Help them see that their pain is not this. It's not the end right now. You're in a down, and there's going to be an up. They can't see that because their pain is so big to them at that moment. And so I do think that if it's not, they don't reserve the right to do that. But I think that if we see that, then it is our duty. It is our human responsibility to um, to help them take that blindfold off them and to see the right perspective. of that they're not a burden, but they're a gift. And it's because they're a gift because of the way that they're feeling right now. They have such a sensitive heart and they see things that other people don't see. They have this gift of contemplation. They have these mindsets and understand. They feel very, very deeply, and that's something that the world desperately and deeply needs. And so they feel like a burden because they don't feel needed. But if you can help them see that they're needed, and then you can, help lift that blindfold. And so I don't think it's one of those things where they reserve the right, but I do think that if you see somebody in that situation, then it is your responsibility. It is I want to say it is your right because because kind of the question you insinuated that it's like, do they reserve the right? Do they gain this responsibility to believe that suicide is okay? But I do think that if we see that, if somebody else outside of their pain sees that, then it is their responsibility. The burden is on them. If you want to be, a decent, loving human being, the burden is on you then to say something to that person. I'm not saying, like, I'm not saying you got to be there at their beck and call day in, day out until it goes away, but it is your absolute, like, if I see that happening, I do make a real effort to help them pull that blindfold off just a little bit. So I do think that the burden becomes on us, not them as the burden. Not saying we need to put them on our shoulders. In some cases, depending on who the person is, but I'm saying the burden to lift up that blindfold and help them uh, see the reality that they're not a burden. So yeah, that's I mean, it's a interesting question, but as somebody who has been there, and that I thought I did have that right. I didn't. And so yeah, I mean, I don't really understand how that's polarized. Well, okay. I don't know if I understand how that's well, yeah. So maybe you got some. Oh, and here you say, or do you believe that suicide is an expression of selfishness? I don't think suicide is an expression of selfishness at all. It's not because the when you see selfish people, you really know that they're selfish. That like in the mind of a suicidal person, there is not a ounce of selfishness. It's almost like there is because okay, think about it this way, because this is really paradoxical in a sense. To truly love yourself, you have to embrace some aspect of selfishness. That it's like, because if you give and give and give and give and give, then you're going to be running on empty for a long time. Um, and so you have to be selfish and say, I actually need love right now. Now, when you completely get rid of that selfishness and you just take on this selflessness, and that's all it is, then that's actually what drives somebody to a point of giving so much that it's like, this my I don't matter at all. This self doesn't matter at all. And I've given so much and I've not gotten anything back in return. And it's like that's why they feel like a burden. That's why they feel like that. It's not, see, people got it wrong because they don't understand the mind of a suicidal person. Like there isn't an ounce of selfishness in them. If there was, then they would be able to love themselves and they wouldn't even have that difficulty. But it's because there is no selfishness in them at all. They're completely selfless. And so they think they have this savior complex, that it's like, I need to remove this burden, which is myself, from the world so that the world would be a better place. It's actually they're they're suicidal because of lack of selfishness. I know that's completely paradoxical, but being someone who was suicidal for I don't know how many years. I mean, it was a long time. That's what it was for me. And it wasn't until I learned how to be selfish. I learned how to love myself that I started to that I became a lot less suicidal. So there's that too. But suicide, I mean, the whole subject of suicide is something that's very close to my heart because I was there, a number of my friends were there. It's just it's a thing nobody talks about, but it's yeah, it's a big deal, and a lot of people are there. So yeah, I appreciate the question though. I love that question. Luli, hello, man. I just miss so much comments. I'm just ranting. Whatever. Well, even in adulthood, they were still unable to learn language because if you don't learn a language when you are young, your brain will never be able to physically learn language as structures don't develop. Interesting. What I take from this is doubt that language could have evolved due to the need to be taught young. Therefore, if never taught, we lose the capacity to ever learn or ever have the ability to. So you think we learned language, that we didn't evolve language, but we learned it. Man, what a touchy subject. There's lots of pain and hurt and loss wrapped up around this topic, but I wish people could talk about it without stepping on toes potentially. Yeah. The reason why I said polarizing is that some people are like you and say it isn't selfish, yet there's a wide variety of people who truly believe suicide is the most selfish thing. It's not at all. And thank you so much for your answer. You are welcome. Well, I hope you got some sort of insight in it. I don't think I've ever been suicidal. I think I've contemplated, but easily decided it wasn't for me. But over the years, I've gotten it, given it a ton of thought. Just generally in mind, death is something we all want to understand. Yeah, I had a friend commit suicide over a year ago. Really sorry to hear that, Shailer. I've had a lot of feelings about what he did was a selfish thing to do. What you just said makes me think differently about it. Yeah, I mean, from the outside, looking from the outside, we look at them and you're like, you're so selfish. How could you? But inside the mind of a suicidal person, there is not an ounce of selfishness. Is it random topic day? Yes, it is. And I think every live stream from now on will be random topic. The topic earlier, well, I guess, I don't know how we got on suicide, but the question was, um, what when you hear the word joy, what does it mean to you? 10 letter, every day is a random topic. Yeah, no, that's real. I had one about 6 months ago. I had my wife call 911. An ambulance came and took me to the hospital. I thought I was gonna die any second. It was crazy. Thought I had a heart attack. So it was so You had a massive panic attack, right, bro? Yes, I did. I had a huge panic attack. Um, had one about. I didn't know you were talking to me. You did because you were having a conversation with somebody else. So I thought that was for him. I had one about 6 months ago. Ambulance came, took me to the hospital. I thought I was going to die any second. Yep. Same story with me. It was crazy. I thought I had a heart attack. Yeah. I thought I didn't know what was going on. Panic attacks are super serious. This is crazy, man. Crazy, dude. Um, talking about joy, it's just I just wonder what's up because I'm sitting here asking questions. What do you think about joy? And then we start talking about panic attacks and suicide. It's just interesting how the conversation goes. I don't think suicide is selfish. It's your life. You talked about it one time, and my experience was super similar. Yeah, my the panic attack that I had was it. It was yeah. It was so bad. It was It was because of stress, but what made it so much worse is that my immune system was already tanked, like done. What that panic attack did was just destroy my immune system. So I had one massive panic attack. And then for the next 2 or 3 months, it was like the same damn thing every single night. I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. I thought I was going to die. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't sleep. It was hell. I was in hell. And my body just couldn't handle it. Couldn't cope with the stress. And it was this cycle. And I was literally I'm so happy that I found my doctor because I probably would have been disabled. Like the from what the blood work said of when they took my blood work and looked at everything, if I did not get help, I would have been a disabled person my entire life. She told me that. I was like, "So what would have happened if I didn't come to you?" And she was like, "You would probably be in a home, and you would be incapable." And I was like, "So disabled?" And she's like, "Yeah, you would be a disabled person probably the rest of your life." Serious stuff. No joke. Where are you from? East Coast, Virginia. Do you think having gratitude is necessary to achieving a lasting joy? Absolutely, 100%. That's what one of my videos is going to be on. Um, that joy is as far away as your ability to be grateful for this present moment. Um, so yeah, that vlog's coming. The animal story touches on why Hispanic foreign families in America have kids that are uh, man, y'all used words too big for me. But it's so tough for parents to leave to learn English. Yeah, until age 12, kids are sponges. Yeah, yes. Worst thing ever happened to me. I still deal with it. Yeah, no, it's tough. It sucks a lot. I think joy is close to peace. Also, as if I were in a state of not overthinking, super present in the moment. I agree with that 100%. That's good. Well, I agree with the super present in the moment. Um, well, joy could be close to peace. I think joy is a lot like love, where it's something else. Son of a. I think joy is a lot like love, to where it is something else. Usually, people think of joy as an emotion. I don't think it is. I think joy, true joy, is more along the lines of like Buddhist enlightenment, um, where they realize that there are ups and downs in life, and so when they're in an up, they decide to be grateful. But when they're in a down, they decide to be grateful as well because because that's just a part of life, and they're thankful to be alive and living. And so, enlightenment is not reaching a place of complete happiness and um, what's the word I'm looking for? Euphoric, happy kind of thing, ecstatic kind of thing all the time. It's actually this accepting the fact that joy, that pain, sadness, joy, happiness. It's all it's they have a very non-dualistic um, outlook on it. And so it's all good. It's all good things. So, yeah, it's interesting that maybe these are guided topics to which we could help bring joy to those around us if only we understood more. Yes. Every day I have to fight some of the panic thoughts and feelings. I was freaked out for 2 or 3 months too. Every day I was freaked out. Yeah, man. Same thing. That's why, Jess, that's why I want to do the series on joy, because I'm like, we got to bring people more joy, especially myself. uh, the fact that a conversation about joy transitioned into suicide and a 3-minute rant totally changed Shayla's outlook on somebody that committed suicide in their own life. That's really awesome, man. Was that true, Shayla? Because that's good stuff. I'm glad that that happened. Uh, do animals have a purpose? Depends on the animal, but I would say no. Um, and I know where you're going with that, Darkin. Hello, by the way. And I'm also curious, Darkin, if you think humans are animals. A continuous status. I think joy is more of a kind of foundation that can't move when things external happen or anything physical thing is taken from you. Joy is solid foundation. I do agree with that. Mike Cam. Nicole, how's it going? Nate is getting non-dual, my friends, and I like it. I like it a lot. Oh my gosh. Ever since I started learning about non-dualism, it has literally started changing my life. It's fantastic. I don't know why I've been stuck in a dualistic mindset for so long. Night, I'm so sorry, but I have to go. Love you long time, bro. Jess, why? It's okay. I will talk to you soon, Jess. Much love, and see you next time. Bummer, but I'll see you next time. What do you think is the biggest barrier to being? Oh my gosh. What do you think is the biggest barrier for being grateful? Um, oh man. Well, it has a lot to do with us. And again, this is just subjective to me and how I think about it. Other people could say differently, which is whatever, which is fine. But I do think the biggest barrier in being grateful is just our own pride, our own. And I think it has it has a lot to do with pride, and there's so much stuff in pride. Because obviously fear is involved with pride. Obviously, that's the two biggest. I mean, everything is rooted in fear and pride is rooted in fear, and everything just goes back to fear. But so I mean, the biggest barrier in being grateful is obviously fear, but from a practical standpoint and going more towards the surface instead of just going to the root of, oh, it's fear. I think the biggest barrier in being grateful is oftentimes, simply said, just ourselves getting in the way. And by ourselves, I mean we're always selfishly thinking about what we are going to do in the future or in the past. We constantly time travel all the time with our emotions and with our mind and with things that don't even exist or could exist. Who knows? In the future and in the past. Well, they do exist if they're in the past, but or they don't. They did exist. Whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. But when you um, come into this present moment And when you like you fully embrace this present moment and you're no longer selfishly thinking about what comes in the future and what's in the past, but you are selflessly in this present moment saying that, like, acknowledging what's around you, acknowledging where you are, the facts of your situation. And it can be something as little as you're alive. Like, some people aren't even grateful for being alive because they have something in them that they're like, I deserve more. Where the reality is, it's like a miracle that you're even born. Um, because the odds of being born, Gary Vaynerchuk, I don't know how correct it is, but he says it's 4 trillion to 1. That's the odds of being born. So when you think about it that way, you have no reason not to be grateful. But people don't think in those terms. They're not grateful because they're not where they want to be, or they did something that they regret. But when you look at the moment and you look at where you are, and you decide to, it's just a perspective shift, and there's nothing else but yourself that can switch and turn that perspective. Um, and so it's tough because it's not like and that's something like you have to make that decision. So it's not something that I can say, oh, your problem is this, your problem is this. It's like, no, your problem is you. And you have to be the one to make that perspective change and that perspective shift to, seeing the brighter side of things. And so you get in the way. And how fear is involved with that. I mean, I feel like that's a whole separate rant, a whole separate subject. But the biggest barrier not being grateful, I would say, is definitely for sure you. Biological speaking, yes, humans are animals. Hi, LOL. Um, of course, humans are animals. I always have a very hard time with people that say humans are animals. I just, I get yes, biologically speaking, I guess you could say we are. Um, but just who we are and what we're able to do and achieve and think about, I'm like, we're not even close to animals. So, yeah. Yeah, man, I wrote a poem about it where I even say that he did a selfish thing to do. It's on my Facebook. I felt that way since it happened. I get it. Yeah, dude. What you said was really helpful. I'm glad that what I said was really helpful. Um, yeah, and again, like, I'm not coming down on you for any of that. But like, I'm not whatever. But again, like I'm saying, it's from an outside perspective, yes, it can look very selfish, but being in the mind of a suicidal person, it's like it's not selfish at all. That's not their intent whatsoever. Freedom calls. All right, Jess. I also believe there are two forms of joy: joy coming from escapism and joy rooted in reality. I would say joy coming from escapism isn't joy. It's a false joy. I think joy coming from escapism is more tied to happiness. Um, it is important to have healthy balance. Oh, well, first, I guess I should ask you what you mean by joy coming from escapism. Yeah, pride is the worst. At least with fear, you can still have humility and vulnerability. That's not possible when it comes to pride. Yeah, I mean, but pride is rooted in fear as well. I never wanted to be angry at my friend for what he did, but it was hard not to be. He was loved by so many people. IDK. It was just easier to be mad about what he did than to truly face the hurt of his decision. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it 100%. Dolphins are highly intelligent. They are sentiment and self-aware and have a language and they live in society. They just lack the anatomy to develop technology. Are they less? No, I don't think they're less. Less life forms than humans because of that. No, I didn't say that they were less. Um, you know, I, yeah. I don't really know what else to say. I don't think that they're less at all. I just think that humans have the anatomy to be able to develop that kind of thing. So it is what it is. What's the difference? Dolphins. I wonder, from what you just told me, if dolphins in their language have the ability to have conversations like we are having right now. Just because they can talk and communicate, and they're self-aware doesn't mean they have evolved into a thinking brain as much as we have, that they can actually contemplate God and philosophy or a creator or whatever. Um, I mean, dolphins still, just being animals, have they fight to survive just like all other animals. Humans have been able to. It's not just about survival now; it's about thriving. Example: a 4-day music festival. Well, no, it's a 4-day span where I feel some of the most joy in my year. It's healthy, but also not realistic to think all three seven. Yeah, sure. Okay. I don't think that's escaping. I wouldn't say that's escaping. I would just say I would say that's taking hold of life and your surroundings. And you said I gotta go back. You said escapism and where was it? Escapism and joy rooted in reality. Yeah, no, I would say that joy is rooted in reality. I mean, the reality is you live at a place that you got a music festival near you, and you can take hold of that, and that's life. I think that is joy rooted in reality. How did you feel after interviewing your friend the other day? Um, I mean, I feel like I interview him every day because I mean, that podcast was a conversation that we would typically have, but I recorded it and posted it on my YouTube channel. So we have conversations like that every day. He gets me thinking. He gets me like so much crazy stuff. Um, it- I always he always it's crazy stuff, but he's always the one to remind me that I'm not crazy. That the thoughts that I have are legit, and that he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm there," and then here's why I'm there, and like what you're going through, what you're feeling, what you're sensing, what is right historically and scientifically, and here's all the evidence. La da 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 da. Like I feel sane when I talk to him, which is just so refreshing. Um, so how do I feel when I talk to him? Peace. Do you think joy is found in the pursuit of something meaningful? Can you have joy without meaning? Do you think joy is found in the pursuit of meaning? Um, yeah. Can you have joy without meaning? I think joy is the meaning. I mean, yes. I think joy. No. Okay. You say, do you think joy is found in the pursuit of something meaningful? I think joy is like that is the pursuit on something meaningful. Like your pursuit should be in joy of that meaningful thing. And can you have joy without meaning? Um, I don't see why you would not. Um, I think you can have joy with and without me. It depends. Are you talking about the meaning of life, or are you talking about meaning just like the meaning of going to work every day? You know, or something more deep and philosophical. Anything he said made you change your mind or consider something in a different way? Sorry, side of the joy thing. Time. It's all good, Lily. It is all good. Did anything you say make you change your mind or consider something in a different way? Yes. What he said about Jesus, and how what he said about Scripture and of interpretation of Scripture, and how the Torah or Torah, as he says, um, is it's a like that is like when Jewish people talk about scriptures, they're not talking about the New Testament, they're not talking about the Old Testament, they're talking about the Torah. And a lot of the New Testament was a interpretation of the things that Jesus said and the Torah. And so, when he said that even Jesus was philosophical, even Paul was philosophical, he uses philosophical concepts, um, you know, taught throughout Scripture. That really got me thinking. And like faith and belief is is talked about only in the New Testament. It's not in the Torah. So it's not in like the original the scriptures. And so I think I'm gonna do another podcast about it. But I think that faith and belief, I'm now starting to get and understand that I think they're philosophical. I don't think they're theological in the least bit. I think Paul was using philosophy to explain the walk of someone in pursuit of God. He was putting words to that pursuit using philosophy. That to me is it's kind of I've been thinking about that a lot. So it's not that he's like changed my mind on anything. It's like he's evolved my thoughts on things. That was an awesome podcast. Loved it. It was pretty great. I did. I loved it as well. Anyway, as a realist, I can't share your opinion view on purpose. As a realist or as a materialist? Because I consider myself a realist as well, but I'm not a materialist. I'm an idealist. I guess a sense of what you are doing matters. Yeah, I think you should walk that journey with joy. I don't think it's something, I mean, yeah, it's something that you do find on the journey. So, yeah. Suicide can be lack of thinking about how other people feels. Yeah. But that I mean, I get what you're saying, that suicide being a lack of thinking about how others feel. I get that. Um, yeah, I think it's up to interpretation, but ultimately, I think about it from the standpoint of the suicidal person because I know that I was that way. And so I know that that's how it can look from an outside view, but from an inside view, um, it's not that. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's not false what you're saying. There's truth to it. Um, so yeah, think juice. Anybody remember that video? My God. Whoa, Luli, are you blown away by that thought? Yes, the Old Testament was the New Testament concealed, and the New Testament is the Old revealed. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that several times. I don't know what I think about that statement now, but I mean, I guess it's technically accurate, but not in a way that people would think. You read that wrong. I wrote utopian view. Oh, utopian view. Um, so Darkin, I'm double checking the definition of utopian right now. And the definition of utopian is modeled on or aiming for a state in which everything is perfect. I don't think that. It does say idealistic, so utopian ideology. Um, an idealistic reformer. He describes himself as an educated utopian. I'm not looking for things to be perfect. I don't know if that's what you're saying, or if I'm just reading the definition of what you're saying wrong. But I'm not. I don't think I understand why you're saying that I have a utopian view. Man, mouth is dry as all get out. Always. In real life, it was more expressed, more intense. Intense. Leo. I'm not saying suicide is always selfish. I'm saying in the case of my friend who shot himself, uh, it was as he did not take his brother or family into consideration. But you don't actually know if he didn't though. That's the point I'm trying to make. I get what you're saying, but you don't know if you really don't know. Nobody will ever have the ability to know if he did not take them into consideration. Lily, did Jess do your birth chart? And did you see? She told me you had a lot of fire, which I totally believe that. Like, oh yeah, I can see that. At the end of your video, you said something basically like, "Our purpose is to get a world where everybody loves everybody." That's a utopia. It's not realistic. Well, oh man. Yes and no. I I see what you're saying, and I see how that can appear like I have a utopian view of things. But I don't. I mean, I don't have any expectation of that actually happening. Maybe it could. I don't know. Um, but I'm saying if that wasn't if that wasn't here's the point that I'm trying to make is if we didn't say encourage everyone to love everyone. If that wasn't encouraged, if it was like that's never going to happen, it's absolutely impossible. As much as it may be impossible, if we didn't encourage that, then we would just go the opposite direction, and nobody would give two shits about anything or anybody. Because it's like this is never going to happen. And I feel like you can go too far into a realistic standpoint to say, well, there's no point in it. It's not going to happen. Where, I don't really think it's going to happen. I can only hope for myself and for the people around me that I can make some sort of change and difference in the world. Will we ever obtain world peace and nobody's going to have to work because everybody's going to give to everybody else? And, if I love doing this and you love doing that, well, let's trade and barter and, government will, yeah. I don't know. Like, it's not how the world is run. Like I am a realist in that sense, but I do think that I correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like like hard realist thinking is like on a point of like none of that really matters. It's not really real. Where I think it is real. I think people do have the ability to love, and I think that um, if we stop making that some sort of goal in life, then we're just going to move the opposite direction. So I don't really have this utopian view that everything's going to be perfect and everybody's going to love everybody. Even though I do think that if we don't have that goal, then we're just going to move in the opposite direction. So yes, I'm saying it's a fictional character. It's a fictional goal in some senses. But if we didn't have that fictional character or goal there, then we would just move in the opposite direction. And it's kind of like, you have like when you go into therapy, right? You think this therapist is this you view them as the other that knows the answers, that they're going to fix you and make everything okay. And that's why people go to therapy. And they need to be in that mindset of everything is going to be okay. I am going to get answers here. But the reality is that therapist in a lot of ways is just as messed up as you, and they don't have all the answers. Like they don't know. But without creating that fictional character there, the help would never be like you wouldn't go to a therapist if you were like, I know that your life isn't perfect. I know that you're messed up. I know like you just you wouldn't there. It's like you have to have that fiction set in place that like that does something to our mind. Um okay. Of course we have the ability to love and we do love, but we can't be naive and believe that everybody else out there will try to take advantage of you in any way. I completely agree. I'm not disagreeing with that in the least bit. Oh boy, yes. Let me check what that was. No idea what all that means. That's hilarious. A person who is having suicidal thoughts are more definitely thinking about. Most definitely thinking about others too much. That's exactly what I said, Nicole. I've been there in the past. That's my experience. I completely 100% agree, Nicole. A common love does not equal utopia. I agree, Cody. Infinite game. That is wow. Yeah. I mean, I haven't read that book, Shaler, that you're talking about, but yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. He encourages leaders to aim at a world that never will never become real. It's the only way to ever make things better. It will always be like there's always going to be others. Sure. And there needs to be. That's my point. Man, my mouth is dry. So why do people need to have purpose? This is what I said in my comment in the video. I don't think people need to have purpose, and I honestly don't think some people want purpose. I just think purpose is something that is inherent with us. And by that I mean that there is this inherent part of us that wants to evolve, that wants to become better, that wants to be good, that wants to love. And that's what I'm saying. I think that is our purpose. I think since we have this inherent feeling within us that it's like because that's there, it I mean some people don't act on it, which I think is stupid, but I think that we need to act on it and we should act on it. Yes, purpose is innate. Innate. Get it? He's really inspiring. Doing his vision is. Oh, my energy just like shot to the floor. I might end this live stream early for the first time. The universe doesn't care about us. It's not capable of caring for anything at all. Even if that's the case, does that give us humans the right to also not care about anything at all? Okay, Nate, drop us a bomb question. All right. Hmm. Sorry you're not feeling well. Yeah, it's just like it just came out of nowhere. It hit me out of nowhere. Um, well, I don't know if this is a question as much as it is a thought that I had today. Um, so this, oh God damn. All right. This is a thought that I had today. Because a lot of people did not like my video about Christians just don't get it. Uh, and they completely missed the entire point of the video. So my point in the video was just to basically restate it again, but without the whole analogy and everything, is that knowledge that comes, if the knowledge produces pride, and by meaning that if the knowledge produces something that it's like, oh, we just know. Like if we just if no, now we know what is right and wrong. Now we know what is holy. Now we know what is belief. Now we know what is sin. Now we know how God operates. If if that knowledge, if you think you obtain it, um, nothing comes out of it. It's all dead. Like and the reason I say that is because people, the ways that which they use that knowledge doesn't give life. It doesn't give any life at all. It just shows them I'm right, you're wrong, and that's just their subjective opinion and interpretation of whatever was said. The philosophy and the knowledge that is worth exploring is ones that produce action, is ones that produce experience, are ones that produce this pragmatic approach to life, to actually living and doing. Any other knowledge outside of that needs to die. And again, I'm going to quote a biblical thing, um, but I'm not. It's just a principle in the Bible that I think is necessary. So I'm not saying this to preach at all, um, but I think it says God will destroy the wisdom of the wise. Um, and I really do think that, you know, if God comes and destroys the wisdom of the wise, that's what he's going to destroy. He's going to destroy the philosophy and the knowledge that makes us think we know what's right. It makes us think we know we have all the answers. That makes us think that it's like, puffs us up to a point where it's like we know the infinite parts of the universe. And I'm saying, even everything I said last night, like that's my subjective interpretation of it all. But that philosophy that I have, I think that produces action. Now, a lot of people are looking at it and they're just saying like, "Oh no, that's just your philosophy as well." And I'm like, maybe, but at least that philosophy doesn't claim to have the answers. At least that philosophy that I have was actually asking more questions in search of an answer, and that answer not being knowledge, but that answer being an experience, an experience that is produced by a pragmatic approach to living. The other knowledge that I was talking about, which is theological knowledge or knowledge that's claiming how God works, or knowing what sin is and what perfection is, and knowing a creator, knowing God, and all of that. It's just it's all dead. All of it is, unless there's something that produces action, produces experiences. I'm like, and that's I mean, that's what I was talking about, where it's like, Um, you know, knowledge, I see that it's knowledge, it's like passive knowledge, it's knowledge for power. Yes, exactly. It's like that knowledge, like people say knowledge is power. I'm like, I mean, to what extent though? And what knowledge? Like, and that's why I like talking about the philosophy of God, the philosophy of religion and all that, but it's like it's all just I like talking about it because it's how I grew up and I love deep conversation, but at the end of the day, most of it's bullshit because a lot of it doesn't produce it doesn't produce anyone to take any action for their own life. It's just like I'm all down for a creator existing. Kudos to Darkin for reminding me to not say God and to say creator. Um, I am all for a creator's possible existence. But I don't claim to know how it operates, he, she, whatever it operates. I'm not going to claim to know God based on a gut feeling or a experience that came to me that's a very subjective interpretation of something that arose from feelings. um you know I- it's we try to make sense, and this is what my whole video about of God is dying is. We try to make sense of God with philosophy and theology, and we try to make sense of the unknown. But I think the unknown, I mean, it's the unknown for a reason. If there's something in the great unknown, in the great beyond, it's there and it's meant to be experienced. It's just, yeah. So I even my, and this is okay. And this is why I like talking the philosophy of love, the philosophy of joy, because I feel like the philosophy of fear. These are things that we experience and want to experience in our daily lives. And I'm saying, and I love looking at and figuring out the practicalities of how to actually apply these things to life and how to deepen and enrich our life. And but I also talk about the other theological concepts as well because I think they need to be deconstructed and in a lot of ways destroyed. But obviously, people don't like that because their knowledge has created a amount of pride that they don't want to be broken down. And that's not my problem. If you're going to be prideful, like there's absolutely no way for me to say anything that would like, get, you can only learn out of humility. You can't learn out of pride. So, it is what it is. Genuinely curious. Are all of the individuals here theists, deists, or are they agnostics, atheists as well? All of the above, my dude. Psalms 137:9. Happy is the one who seizes your infants and dashes them against rocks. Dude, I literally have never read that verse. I need to look it up right now. But again, Darkin, I mean, this is why I said I'm quoting a principle in the Bible that not everything in the Bible is good, but not everything in the Bible is bad. So I don't really know why you're um saying that. 137. I've read Psalm 137 so many times. No, it's not 137. I've read 143 so many times. What verse did you say it was? My God. Well, all right. So reading that Bible verse now, darken, I get, I get what you're saying, but it's definitely a metaphor. It's not literal. They all is theologicals. Theologicals. Tom, is that meant as an insult? It's pretty subjective and pretty ignorant insult if it is one. Conrad, I lose a ton of brain cells from other YouTube channels, and watching this one replenishes them. You are very welcome. Yeah, I get you, Nate, totally. Some are Christians, atheists, agnostic, non labeled. Hey, yo, I know it's unrelated, but have any of you watched the McGregor? No, I heard that McGregor, it was like 20 seconds long. That's what I heard. I heavily dislike labels. But Nicole, you are a Christian. Labels organize the minds of people who haven't been enlightened. Yes. The greatest statement we can all make is, I don't know. Preach. Because from there, you can work to find the answer as opposed to presuming an answer and attempting to find evidence for it. Completely 100% agree, Andrew. Completely 100% agree. I have not watched Messiah yet. I don't know if, yeah, I don't know. You've probably heard Darken. I just started a new job, so I'm working 4 days a week now. So I've lost a lot of time, and I have to like do studying and stuff outside of work. Well, I'm a bartender, so I have to learn like a ton of drinks, which is great. But it's just it's a learning curve, and so right now I don't have a lot of time. Right now I'm watching Breaking Bad for the first time, and I'm loving it. So I haven't got to Messiah yet. I don't have a lot of time on my hands to binge watch stuff anymore. I think sometimes labels can be helpful. I agree. So that we can ensure we're all talking about the same thing. 100%. I don't label myself that way, but others do. So what would you say? What do you say that you are spiritually to other people? I loved Breaking Bad too. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's all a matter of balance, non-dualism. Every season gets darker and darker. That's what I'm finding out, and it's good stuff. What do you want, people? Personally, I'm agnostic atheist, aka soft atheist. So what does that I guess I fall, you know what? I'm not going to even try to label it cuz it'll change. Um but I'm similar to I guess more agnostic than atheist, but it also depends on the day. So what do you mean by What do you personally mean by agnostic atheist or soft atheism? I simply believe Jesus saved me from myself. Others can label me if they want. I don't put myself in a box of religious thought at all. A misfit. This is why you're here, Nicole. I'm a Christian for certain people. For others who understand my trail of thinking, I'm agnostic. Others get really confused by my situation. I think your situation is fantastic, Lily. It's fantastic. Sup, y'all? Brady Kelly, what's good? I spent my whole life being labeled by others, and it brought destruction because I believed those labels. Yeah, labels help. I think labels is in the lines of like dualism and non-dualism kind of thing. Like to really learn non-dualism, you have to know dualism. You have to be aware of dualistic mindsets. And then when you see what the difference is in dualism, then you can move to a more non-dualistic thinking. And in like labels, like you obviously you need to know what it is, um, to be able to think and evolve that thought. I'm talking philosophically, that is. Um, but once you know what it is, once you have that label for it, then it's like this is how things are created in a new way. And so I think labels are necessary for learning purposes, but I think outside of that, um, they're not needed. I lack belief in God, but I don't claim that no God exists. I simply reject the claim that a God does exist. Okay, that's all right. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's where I am. Well, yeah, I guess. Hmm, I'm just me. Yes. What's up, man? How's it going? Oh, it's going. It is going for sure. I'm like still considering possibly ending this stream a bit early. I was just referring to labeling people in groups. Oh, well, yes, that too. I guess I'm a Gnostic atheist. So, what does that mean in your words? Where did you share the link? Where did you share the where's the link? I missed the link. Did you like put it in the I can't see the comments because I'm the one doing the live thing. How long has the stream been going? 1 hour and 35 minutes. As a loving person and who in life practice, I just love. That is my life goal, to be honest. That's should be the goal. That should be the goal of every human being, in my personal opinion. I don't think I care the other ones. What do you mean? Never mind. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Christian announcing all those. I gotcha. How has your experience been with dealing with fundamentalist Christians? It's the worst. It's the worst. Oh man. And I say that because I I didn't know I never thought that I was a fundamentalist until I got out of fundamentalism and then I realized that I was a fundamentalist. And so when you're talking to a fundamentalist Christian, they don't know that they're fundamentalist. Like they would never be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a fundamentalist." Like that's just not. And so it's difficult when like so when a fundamentalist Christian will say something against one of my opinions or something like that, sometimes depending on what they say, if the answer is like, "Oh my god," like I got to dissect so much of that, then oftentimes I don't even reply. If it's something, small or smart or something like that, I typically say something because it's just hypocritical in a lot of senses. And I talk and hypocritical because of, what I was talking about, knowledge and knowing right and wrong and having this own religion and your own philosophy. It's like, it's all, it all needs to die. It all needs to be destroyed. It's like what's the good of telling somebody their opinion is wrong if it doesn't produce a positive result in your life or in theirs. Like, and I the people that I run into that make those statements are the fundamentalists. And so I'm like, I don't know, it just baffles me that I'm like, I mean, yes, there's so many contradictions in the Bible, but you talk to a fundamentalist and they're like, "Oh yeah, God is love. We are supposed to love." It is grace centered, love centered, kind of thing. But then they say stuff like that, and it's like, do you see that you're the one that's spreading hate right now? And they don't. And it's just it's mind blowing to me. I don't, and that's I f- in some ways I feel helpless because I'm like, oh man, like I want to help people. I want to help people see truth and I want to help people ask the right questions. Not that I know all of them and not that I know the truth or I know the right questions, but it's like I've openly said on this channel that like I'm on a journey and people can come with me. People can agree with my opinions. People can find, they can find the things that I say helpful, whatever. But like at the end of the day, I'm on a journey, and like I've already changed my mind in many ways on a lot of things that I've said on this channel. But yet people still say, "No, you're wrong. No, this and that. No, they accuse me of all these things. And I've had fundamentalists tell me I'm going to hell, and fundamentalists say you should be ashamed, and are super condescending. And I'm like, do you understand what you look like right now? It's just the religion that you have talks so much about saving people and grace and love and acceptance, and the gospel accepts you as you are, all this kind of thing. And it's just like I don't, now being out of a fundamentalist mindset, I don't, that a lot of the hate I get is from the fundamentalists, and it's just the fundamentalists that claim the story of the gospel and everything that comes with it. And I'm like, you're clearly not living this. And I don't know why you can't see that. So how I deal with him, I don't. I try not to. I mean, typically, if it's a fundamentalist commenting on something that's saying this, that, da 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 da, and like this huge rant, I don't even, I wanna reply to everybody, and I wanna like talk about the views and everything like that. But when you're in such a point of like, I can tell that your mind is not going to be changed, but you are desperately trying to change mine right now through things that I already know about. And it's for these reasons that you're mentioning that I got out of that religion and I got out of all of that. And they don't see that. They don't know that. Um, so it's tough because man, it's just tough. It sucks, honestly. It really does suck. Um, because I would get along with everybody. Like, I don't care about your beliefs. I don't care about what you say you believe. I don't care about your opinion. I don't care about any of that. But I do care about you as a human being, and I do care, and I do want to be able to have like a conversation with you, despite the differences in opinion or beliefs. And it's like, just some people, it's like if you have a differing opinion or belief, you're the devil. You're the a false prophet. You're the antichrist. Um, it's just unbelievable to me. So yeah, I think the only way to deal with it is sometimes to not deal with it. In my situation, because I get it a lot, but in life, the way that I deal with it is, um, I make my point that I'm on a journey and that I don't know, um, and that they need to be okay with that. Um, because I do care about truth and I do want it to be real. I don't just want it to be a philosophy or religion. If a God or a creator does exist, I want it to be real. Um, and I, try to express that nothing that they say is really going to give me that kind of experience. Um, so it's just every situation is different. It's tough. Um, so yeah, like I said, it's like some some people just they got blinders on. They cannot see what they're doing, and it's really frustrating. It's super disheartening. And I legitimately, I'm like, I don't care about your opinion or what you believe, and I don't care if it's different than mine. I'd love to have a conversation with you, but it just feels like a lot of fundamentalists don't want to have a conversation. They just want to tell me I'm wrong. And I'm like, you are what is the problem. So, yeah. Have you ever been burnt out from researching or searching for truth? Yeah, all the time. Because I find myself getting burnt out right now. Just rest. Take a rest. Yeah, I get burnt out a lot. Take a rest. I gotta go. So I'm gonna send you a surprise, something you might like. Well, I'm down. Send it to me. I usually get into conversation with them if their beliefs are harmful. Yeah. Gnostic theist, 100% certain God exists. Agnostic theist believes in God. Gnostic theist believes in God but isn't 100% sure. Gnostic atheist, 100% certain there is no God. agnostic atheist, lacks belief but isn't certain. You say a God meaning God, not a creator. Yeah, but that's okay. No, I see what you're saying. But that's why it's just interesting to me that you do say that you're a Gnostic atheist and you're 100% sure there is no God, but then you say, I'm talking about God, not a creator. So it's like, so in terms of like God being a religion, like the Christian God, whatever, you're like, I'm 100% sure that doesn't exist. But in regards to a creator, you wouldn't be a, a Gnostic atheist by the sounds of it. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I grew up in a very fundamentalist household. I read most of the major apologetics books when I was around 14. It was hard telling my parents that I didn't believe, but they ultimately saw that I was happy. Well, that's good. Have you watched any of Ray Comfort's video? Ray Comfort is so annoying. He's just, oh my God, that dude makes me laugh. That dude makes me cry. He's so unbelievably pushy, and he somehow he reverts the conversation always back to, I love you because I don't want to see you go to hell. It's like, dude, oh my God. I was watching his stuff for a little bit, but then I just got sick of it. You could always become a scientist if you're interested in finding the answer. Nah, I don't think science holds the answer, personally. I think we do by maybe spiritual practices. But that's a journey of faith because in order to actually see what's on the other side of this practices, you got to actually do it. You can't just talk about it. So yeah, I don't think the answer is in science. I think the answer is in, if there is one, it's in that. So Ray Banana Comfort, yo, for real. Oh my God. I think science will get there eventually, but it will take time. I can't disagree with that. Science doesn't have a way to test supernatural claims, so we're kind of stuck. 100%. I can't say 100% there is no creator because I don't know, but I'm 100% sure there is no God. See, that statement is, I totally get what you're saying, but I have trouble with that statement because I don't understand where you're coming from. You need to tell me the difference in your mind between a creator and a God. I know there is a difference from what I can tell because from what you've told me before is that when you hear God, you hear of a religious entity. But creator is without religion. It's a possibility. Is that right? Is that what you're saying, or is it different? That's a bold claim there, Darkin. Yeah, well, he makes bold claims. Do you think most people say they believe in God out of fear going to hell? Yeah, 100%. Well, most people. I think a lot of people. I don't. To say most people, I think it's a a bold statement, but a lot of people. A god loves his creatures, a creator doesn't. So why would why I don't agree with that statement at all. I would actually flip that, honestly. I would say a god wouldn't have to love his creators. I would say a creator would love his creation. That makes a lot more sense to me personally. I mean, I guess it's just linguistics, but I would say a god isn't required to love his creation or whatever, but a creator would. Is it really faith if it's rooted in fear? I don't think so. I do not think so. But these are all my. That doesn't make any sense. See, but what you're saying doesn't make any sense to me. I don't. I don't get it. How does it? Yeah, you got to explain it to me more because from what you're saying, it doesn't. A creator. I am a creator. I am an artist, and the things that I create, I love. They are my creations, whether it be a music project, a video that I work super hard on. Like I love my creations and I work hard at them. Um, a god, I would say a god is somebody like this mad scientist in a lab that's creating, and I'm using the word creating lightly there, but it could be like a god could be like the making of a factory or something like that. Like he's not actually, he made the factory, but he didn't actually like with his hands create it, handmade. To me, that just yeah, I don't think I don't know. That might be a terrible analogy, but to me when I hear creator, all right, here's this. If a creator would love us, then why all the shit happening in the world? That's the same as questioning God. That's such I So basically you're saying in order for a God or creator to love us, he would have to be a dictator over us to make sure everything in our life is perfect all the time. Is that what I'm hearing you say? I know this is about 10 years too late, but I still read a letter uh but I just read A Letter to a Christian by Sam Harris today. Do you have any opinions on it? I have not read that book. I haven't read any of Sam Harris's books. I do want to read his book on free will. Um because a lot of people use that for saying there is no free will. But I'm an advocate for free will. I think free will is absolute. I think it's proven time and time again, even in the sciences. Um, but yeah, I haven't read that book. Does string theory make you believe in God? Why would it? It's just a theory. Not even science can prove string theory. It's literally just a theory. That's why it's called string theory. God is a dictator. A creator isn't. It creates and lets things run its course without intervening. Why does it not? Why would you assume that a creator wouldn't intervene? I feel like that's an assumption that you're making that might not be true. If there is a creator, I suggest it. It's pretty good. I'll have to check it out. I am. I'm gonna f- like 5 more minutes on live stream. Then I'm gonna peace out. Do you believe in karma? Call it karma. Call it reap what you sow. Call it law of attraction. Call it whatever you will. It's all basically the same thing. And I don't really know if I believe in it. I haven't really really experienced it. And then again, I haven't looked for it. I haven't been like, I'm gonna do this and expect. Well, actually, no, I have. I absolutely have done that. With like tithing and giving money to the church and didn't see jack from it. So so I guess no, I don't really I do believe in you reap what you sow. Um, but I guess I believe that in a point of like relationships a lot more than like anything supernatural happening. Then I would ask the same questions about a creator that I asked about God. There would be no distinction. So you're saying, Darkin, if a God, if a creator exists, he would only exist because he did not or has not intervened or does not intervene. If a creator was real and he existed and he intervened, then that wouldn't make any logical sense to you at all. Can you give an example of what Ray Comfort says? Oh man, it's just the same thing over and over again. He tells the traditional fundamentalist gospel of Jesus came to pay a debt um, to people that are in the wrong and that have sin in their life, or they're going to go to hell. And he loves them enough that he doesn't want to see them go to hell, which is why he's telling them this. And every single question reverts to that. Seriously, like so many questions revert to that. It happens in like every interview at least once. What is a good way to start the journey of discovery and what's truly out there? Because I'm kind of stuck in my doubts, but not knowing what to do with it. A good way to start the journey of discovering what's truly out there, I would say, is just to within yourself get outside of your box. So, you say you're stuck in your doubts and not knowing what to do with it. So you're obviously in your head a lot. And I think to really discover what's out there, you got to get out of your head. So you got to learn new stuff. You got to look at different views, different viewpoints. If you like, for me, I am an advocate for free will. So I did an entire study on determinism and looked at all the science, looked at all, like, watched so many deterministic videos. And I was like, all right, so I need to think about this as if like I am a determinist wanting to prove determinism. And I ended that study and none of it added up to me. And then I studied like the science of free will and all of that. And I was like, yeah, I still definitely believe in free will. Um, and so did the same thing from a atheist standpoint, um, which I guess I'm still doing that. But in regard to spiritual practices, I had never started meditating. I didn't know what the benefits of meditation. I was like, well, it's definitely outside of myself and outside of my comfort zone to attempt this. But if something is real outside of myself, there's a lot of spiritual teachers, gurus, mystics, whatever, that they use the technique of meditation to come into different states of consciousness and to observe something greater than themselves in some sort of way. So I was like, well, if I want to experience this in any sort of way, I'm going to have to start meditating, because I can listen to people tell stories about it, or I can do it myself. And so I think it's getting outside of your comfort zone and getting outside of the things that you know. Because obviously, if you're only studying the things and doing the things that you think are true, that you think are right, that only serves your perspective of the world, then nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change you, and you're eventually going to end up right at the same spot, or you're just going to get even deeply more dogmatically minded in your worldview, and then you can become quite a jerk to other people that you have it right when in reality you haven't even looked at any other perspectives. Um, so I do think that what to do is to really start looking at uh, the opposite of the way that you think, in ways to act on like those like in regards to like the spiritualist kind of thing. Like it's like, all right, I need to start meditating because if I'm going to have an experience, that's what I need to do. Or like in regard to studying something, like I said with the free will and determinism, it's like, all right, so I'm not a determinist, but I don't know determinism or what it is, or I mean, I know what they think kind of, but I don't know the science of it. I don't know how people have arrived there, so I need to research this. So it's just getting outside of yourself and recognizing that there are other perspectives and studying those perspectives, and then searching and seeking what's truth. So your version of a creator did as much a shitty job as God then. You just don't get what I mean. No, I don't get what you mean, and that's what I'm trying to understand. Idea, concept, talk that you've been delving into interest lately. Universalism. Do you think prayer works? I'm not sure. Um, all right. I am I'm like super tired. It's been 2 hours. I made it. I know there's other questions up here, but I'm not going to get to answer them this time. Thank you guys for staying and for dealing with my tiredness. You all are amazing. So there is a Discord chat. If you guys aren't on it, get on it. It's good stuff. Also, I will be doing a live event Monday night on Cia Live, CYA.live. Just type it in your URL, sign up, make an account. It's basically this on YouTube, except it gives me the ability to actually FaceTime you and have a conversation with you. So I'm going to be doing that Monday night. It's free. It's open to the public. I do it with my patrons, but I'm going to start doing it once a month for the public. So go on Cia Live, CYA.live, LIVE, and just type that in your URL. And watch videos on it. They have a promo video on YouTube. It's this new company starting up, but I'm super stoked about it because I can do this live conversation, but instead of just the comments, I can actually have a conversation with you, through FaceTime. And then we can have a conversation for 10 minutes, and then I can switch and talk to somebody else about whatever. And so I'm really looking forward to it. Please sign up. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible and amazing. I'm going to start doing that once a month again. So sign up, see you live, and I'll see you dudes, you misfits, you creatures. Oh, man. All right. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.